Welcome back to season 2. I don't know if these have seasons. Maybe Adult Swim will take me on, who knows. Anyway, you ready? So today we are doing Apres. It's a brand of wine kit. This one is probably one of my favorites. It's a late harvest Riesling, so it's a dessert wine. Now when you open it, it comes with it's actually a 3-gallon kit. I have bought 2 of them so I can make 6 gallons. Basically it's heavy, so I'm not going to lift it. Maybe I'll use a levitation spell later, but we'll see, who knows. It does come with some contents. Beside the main bag, which has the juice that you would put in the primary fermentation, and we'll go over that. It also has a second bag, which goes in slightly later, like 5 to 7 days later, and we'll go over that as well. It also comes with this bag of contents, which contains 1 bentonite. Remember, that's 1 per container. So everything I'm showing you, just multiply by 2 for this. Comes with yeast packets. This is specifically Lavlin EC1118. That's pretty much par for the course for any wine kit you get. So don't expect anything different. The bentonite looks like this. This is my own bag of bentonite. If you can see closely, it looks and kind of tastes like sand. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know how it's made. Don't care. Just buy the kit. Now, what it says to do in the instructions is to get 1 cup of water. I got 2-ish because it's double. And dissolve that bentonite into the cup of water and then pour it in your fermenter. I've taken the liberty of already doing that. It's a thicker, kind of disgusting looking thing. I've gotten accustomed to stirring it with like a little tiny stick. Obviously it's sterilized because the bentonite, when it hits water, gets really sticky and will stick to your spoon if you use a spoon to stir it. So the less surface area of something that you stir with, the better. Now next is the sulfite and sorbate. Those are to kill the yeast when you're done fermenting and make sure the yeast do not start populating again. And then along those same lines, there's this chysosol and chitosan. Now, like I said, everything here I'm going to double up, but basically those 2 things are clearing agents. So once the fermentation is racked into a different vessel, which we'll do later as well, those will be added. Those are added after the sulfite and the sorbate. Let's do this. It's always a good idea to follow the instructions. I've already read through them, so it's not like I'm just winging it. I could, but if I miss something, you know, I'd feel kind of silly. Now here I have a big mouth bubbler. It's been sanitized. It's completely clean. We're going to start by taking our disgusting looking bentonite concoction and just pouring it in there. There's some still left in here, which I'm gonna pour in as well. I told you it looks disgusting and sticky. Not something I'd want to drink on its own. In fact, funny story about that, I have, and that's how I know what it tastes like. Don't judge me. All right, next. I told you in each of these containers there's a small bag and a big one. This bag will get added later, so we're gonna set that aside. Now the big bag, will get added in now. And obviously, being careful is super important. Now another thing this does is add air into your mix. You'll see a lot of foam at the top, which is good. As I've been over in previous videos, yeast to grow, before they start doing anything else, they need to grow, and to do that, what they need is oxygen. Now after they have grown, and they are doing their thing, you don't want to add oxygen. So shaking it, doing anything that would get oxygen into your brew after that, bad idea. Now, there's some stuff in here. I am going to add just a smidgen of water and mix it all up and put it in. Now, I would normally try not to add any extra liquid into this. Unfortunately, what happens is a lot of that stuff you saw in this bag is sugar, and I don't like wasting sugar. Sugar for humans in that quantity, not so good, but it's what the yeast live off of. It's also what the brew consists of, is sugar before it's fermented. Now out of the second box, we have our second small bag. That's not going to be used right now. Of course, one last thing I forgot to show you are these wonderful labels for the bottles when we're done with this whole process. You could make labels and have them printed at a brew store or online, or if you can do it yourself, awesome. Kits that come with labels are great. Some kits don't, unfortunately. So just on what type of kit you get. No, I'm not done with this one, but now that I've shown you one way to get the sugars out, I'm going to show you another. Basically, I'm just leaving easy enough amount to work with in here and mix it up so that everything in there dissolves. And then when I pour it out, I don't need to fill up with any water because I'd like to get the most sugar in here as possible. Obviously, there are upper limits to how much sugar you can put in a brew that will be used by the yeast. However, in a wine kit, that's all factored in. Okay, so you've seen two ways that you can get that extra sugar out. Figured it was a good idea since we were using two kits. Now, I don't know if you can see it up here. This marker right here is 6 gallons. So technically they aren't 3 gallons each, at least not the primary. However, when you add in this small bag, of course 2 of them, it will be 3 gallons each, 6 gallons in total, which is good. Obviously you can see that this big mouth bubbler, which has a rather wide mouth, which is super convenient, has a little extra room at the top. That is for any of the head that is produced from the fermentation of this. I don't expect that there will be anything explosive, and by that I mean I have had brews, actually I just had one the other day with a mead that I made. You know, it had enough headroom, but it was just super active. And then the first 24, 36 hours, it literally just exploded through the airlock. And the first time I wasn't prepared for that when I first started. Now I just take a tiny Ziploc bag and put it right over the airlock. And if it does do that, I make sure to have it in a place where it's easy to clean up. And also the Ziploc bag over the airlock doesn't let it go everywhere. It just hits the Ziploc bag and drips down. Super convenient at that point. Okay, so next, we're going to add our yeast. But first, we're going to go ahead and measure the gravity of this. Now, normally I would mix this fairly well. I don't think that's really necessary right now, just because I added so much in such a violent fashion for the liquid to actually mix as it was being poured. So it's your choice. You can stir it, not a big deal, but I'm not going to, and I don't really think it needs it. Now, to measure gravity, we have this device. It's a piece of glass with a weight at the bottom with different readings on it. I don't know if you can see it, but basically it goes from 1, actually it starts at 0.990, and then there's 1 right here, and then it just keeps going down. The very bottom one is 1.160. If you've made a brew with 1.160 and you have yeast that can actually start that fermentation, good for you. I've done it, it's very difficult. Starting a wine or a mead, you might want 1.100 at the most, and then you can always step feed, which is where you just add more sugar as it goes on, and that way you don't stress the yeast out and create any weird off flavors. Now, I could just dump it in here, and under any other circumstance, I might. But with all this head here, we're going to go ahead and just go below it, take a sample of just the liquid so we don't get any of the foam in there. Because it's very hard to take a reading with measurements so close together on the hydrometer where head is involved, or I'm sorry, where the foam is involved. And you really do want an accurate reading. So I'm going to set that there. I'm going to put that in, give it a little spin. All right. I was not expecting that. I really was not expecting that. At all. That is very impressive, actually. Okay, so I said that if it's 1.160, you better have yeast that work really hard. Now remember, this wine kit, I had no idea this was going to happen. This is 1.160, which is, it's going to be really, really difficult for the yeast to, I'm in shock, guys. I'm sorry. I'm almost wondering if I should add some water to it. Because if this doesn't start fermenting, I'm going to be kind of upset. But you know what? Let's go ahead and just follow the instructions. Now, the reason I wasn't expecting this is because it says that the dessert wine, dessert wine and ice wine style. I don't know what style this is on the box. It just says late harvest Riesling. So, I guess we all make mistakes. I may have thought this was a dessert wine when it is more of an ice wine style. Now, the instructions say on here that it could be anywhere between 1.155 to 1.165. These instructions aren't wrong, usually ever. I've never seen any that were mislabeled. So I'm guessing this is a recent ice wine, which is exactly what I would have liked. So I'm not arguing. How are the yeast going to do it? Let's just see. I'm sure that they have done this many times. So if you have a dessert wine or an ice wine, and an ice wine is just a stronger, sweeter wine, if you were to compare it to a mead, it'd be like a sack mead, which is a mead that ends with a final gravity above 1.030. I'm guessing this is going to end with a final gravity of 1.060 to 1.070, which is what the instructions say. It's kind of the sweetness of a juice. I'm not arguing. I love this wine. So let's just hope that it works. We do have 4 packs of yeast to work with. So let's go from there. It's really good stuff. Yes, I drank a tiny bit. I'm going to wash that anyway. Now, with all the meads I make, obviously I make wine too, but with all the meads, I like to do something called rehydrate. That's where you would take a pack of yeast and put it in water. Warm water, you know, you can use warm tap water. That temperature is like 100 to 110, which is perfectly fine to rehydrate yeast in. And what that does is it rehydrates it. It gets it nice and wet. It helps it start propagating. When you do that, you can actually add a little bit of the juice, not all of it, but a little bit, just to get the yeast to start propagating, which builds the colony so that when you do pour it in, it will actually start fermenting faster, and it won't be such a shock. Now, the instructions on every kit I've made, whether it be wine or beer, they have you take the yeast and pour it right on top. You don't even mix it in. So that's what we're gonna do. Following the instructions to the letter, best thing you can do. Now what I've done is I've spread the yeast around so that it will just sink down there in a uniform pattern. It's going to end up probably at the bottom, start going to propagate like I said, and then it's going to get floating around up there with all the carbonation. So it'll actually kind of mix itself. So it's not super necessary to mix it. You can, and it wouldn't hurt it, but just for the video purpose, following directions. So let's put the top on. Make sure it is nice and tight. As you can see, it is. The reason you want to do that is because when your airlock is going and bubbles are coming out, if there's any leak, you're not going to see bubbles because they're going to just take a different path, which is the one not through sanitized water. Now, when you see that happening or don't see that happening, you're going to get freaked out. You're going to be like, man, my brew is not actually doing anything. Or in this case, wort. This is what this stage of this is called. But my wort isn't fermenting, and you're going to get all, concerned, and you don't want to do that. So if that does happen, if your vessel isn't tight, you don't see activity in the airlock, wait a few days, a week, then take a reading with your hydrometer. Air bubbles can lie. They can find a different path out if you don't have equipment that has a seal. And that's not always the best gauge, is to see when it's done or if it's going. Your hydrometer, this thing, is your best friend. That's why you treat it with care. It's glass, don't break it. I've done that too. Now this is a bung. It's gonna go, there's a little hole in here. Fits right in. You're gonna wanna make sure that's tight. Now lastly, what did I do with that airlock? This is a 3-piece airlock. There's 2 types of airlocks. There's probably more than 2 types, but there's 2 general types of airlocks. There's this 3-piece airlock, which is a cap with little tiny holes. I don't even know if you can see them. There they are. A middle piece, and then this piece. And that basically you fill with water. Sanitized water is what I would use. Some people use actually alcohol, like hard liquor, just because those holes won't keep like little tiny flies out, like gnats you might call them, or fruit flies. So they can come in here, and I don't know what fly can survive diving through water to go up and through a pressurized airlock. But to be safe, you want to make sure that if it does go in there, it dies on contact. Star sand solution, which I'll show you in a second. Is what I use. It is an acid, so it sanitizes real well. Now, the instructions tell you how much to put in per amount of water. I filled a little container here just so I can clean up, but also so I can fill my airlock. Now with a 3-piece airlock, there's a little tiny line of where you want to fill it to, which is right there. Nice. And that would just go right in the top. And we probably won't see any activity from this for a solid day, maybe 2. I've actually had a wort or a brew or whatever you want to call your art here. I've actually had one take 3 days, and it was really concerning, and then it just exploded in activity. So be patient. That's kind of what this hobby is. It's patience. So we're just going to go ahead and set this aside. Make sure it's nice and out of the way. All our other stuff I'm going to go ahead and clean up and set aside as well. But as far as instructions go, what we will be doing is in 5 to 7 days, we're going to go ahead and check this. We're going to see what the activity is like. We're going to take another reading with the hydrometer. Let's go ahead and fast forward time. I've been out of commission for a while, guys, so I'm going to try my mage powers here. You there. What day is it?
It's Christmas Day.
No, seriously, what day is it?
Dude, you just started brewing yesterday.
Okay.
That's a mistake.
See ya.
What are you doing? Get back to work.
Where am I?
Well, you're not at home brewing. You should probably go further in time.
Okay. Bye. Huh, this is nice. Oh, it's you from earlier.
No, it's the same day. It's the same day. What are you low on magic?
Guess so. Oh, finally. I felt like I was everywhere. Okay, so looks like I'm back. I have my brew here. Looks like it's going. We're going to do a quick check. There's nothing wrong with checking, as long as we don't introduce oxygen. What are some tools I'll need to do that? Looks like, there we go. Okay, graduated cylinder. I'm missing something. There it is. Hydrometer. think I'm missing something. I could use some help. I have an idea. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Oh, look at that. Oh, hey, can you help me with this? Oh, I guess not. All right, I'm gonna have to get rid of you. Sorry. Let's try something different. Okay. So I guess I guess all that traveling through time made it difficult to summon things. I didn't really want a canine. In the mage world, we call those familiars. What would be great is an actual human being to summon to help me. Let's try it again. Maybe if I stand behind the chair.
Where am I, man?
Actually, I summoned you because I need your help.
Well, I mean, I'm down to do that, but make it quick. I'm working on my own fitness videos, my own fitness channel, Bryson Fitness. Anyway, where am I at?
So you are actually in my house, and I need you to help me with my wine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely.
Should probably take it over here a little bit. All right. So I just need you to hold that. We can just set it right there. And would you hold that?
Yeah.
And would you go ahead and just hold it closer to the thing? Are you a fan of wine?
Absolutely, I'm a fan of wine.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I like about it.
You know, I'm a fan of fitness.
Really? Most people aren't.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Probably because they like to drink wine.
Of course, if you drink wine, you probably should work out more.
Yeah,
If I get some on you, I apologize.
that's okay.
All right, and we're gonna put this here.
Right, it looks like it's like 1.131.
Okay, so it started at 1.160, which is a lot, which means it's still fermenting, but as you already know, I'm super impatient.
Yes, very much so. I've been exposed.
Yes, I'm sorry I had to summon you, but I feel like I've kind of time traveled a lot. And
Yeah, I mean, that'll do it to you, so I understand that.
Well,
That area.
let's go ahead and dump this back in. Can I have you just hold this real quick?
Sure thing, sir.
It's glass, so
It seemed plastic.
it's totally glass. And I'm being very careful not to add any oxygen.
How is that even possible?
By being very careful. And would you mind holding that? Thank you.
It's like an apple cider.
It does. Actually, it really does. I have to clean this up. But wait.
Oh wait, you're a person. You can clean it up.
No, I can just snap my fingers. All right, man. What can I get you for your troubles?
Well, honestly, I was hoping for some alcohol, maybe whiskey of some sort.
Okay, fair enough. Hold out your hand.
Sweet.
There you go.
Woo. That is some luxurious whiskey.
Sure
How
is.
did you just summon this?
From another realm. They have pretty good stuff. Hey,
Is it a good brand, Another Realm?
I can actually summon you a glass. Hold your hand out again.
Oh, wow. A glass of this realm combined with outer realm whiskey.
That's how we do it. You know, I need a glass too, actually. Hold on. All right.
Let me stop smiling. Should I pour it?
Yeah, man. Go for it. Let's see how this stuff is.
Oh, I guess I should remove the plastic.
Yeah, I do that in the other realm.
That realm where they destroy their world.
Oh, well.
Feels good to be a wood elf.
Or like a mage.
Shot 1. Shot 2. When it's good, you want the whole glass.
All right. I guess I'll take this.
Cheers. That is delicious whiskey.
Good stuff. All right. So since this is my channel, I wanted my seat back. So that about does it. My wine is not even close to being done. I will add the extra bag of grape juice probably in about a week. We'll check back then. And I don't really want to sit back and wait. So more time travel. Oh, hey, it's you again.
Hi.
So what's my progress?
Dude, you just checked yesterday.
Hey, got any gum?
Ooh.
See ya. It's day 14. You know what that means? Racking time. First, we're going to go ahead and check the gravity and see where we're at. So, what do we need? Turkey baster, hydrometer, graduated cylinder. All sanitized. This counter has been sanitized. Everything's been sanitized. What I've gone ahead and done is filled up the cylinder and put the hydrometer in. You can't really see it, so I'm going to tell you it's at 1.062, which is what it was at yesterday. It's still producing bubbles, the yeast in there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't done. It's also day 14, so we're going to stick to the instructions. After I add the sulfite and the sorbate, it's going to make sure that yeast will stop fermenting, period, and stop creating any more yeast. So it's not really a big deal. We don't need to worry about it. By my calculations, it's about 14.5%, maybe a little higher. So that's going to be enough for me anyway. I don't really want a really strong wine. It is an ice wine. Generally those are stronger and sweeter, but I think 14.5 is plenty. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is start racking. In the background, you actually see a 6-gallon glass carboy. It's been sanitized. There's still a little bit of foam left in there. There's a saying, don't fear the foam. If all the liquid is out and there's just a little bit of foam, nothing to worry about. It's not going to do anything to the taste of the wine. So let's go ahead and start racking. Okay, and we're back. So the next part is adding the sorbate and the sulfite. They're going to use a stirring wand to help degas it and to also mix in the sulfite and the sorbate. You're probably going to see a little foam, which is normal. Okay, now that that's done, we're gonna go ahead and mix in the Kaiselsoll. Just so you know, I did mix in the sulfite and sorbate for 2 minutes approximately, reversing direction every 30 seconds or so, because I have the wand and a drill. So the wand will actually fit into the drill, so you can do it without having to physically sit there and move the wand around with your fingers or whatever. If you did do that, the instructions say to use do that for 10 minutes, switching direction. So it saves time getting a drill if you don't have one.
Nice.
Okay, now we're done. We're gonna go ahead and take this attachment out. We're gonna go ahead and put a new bung into the top, and then the airlock that we filled with sanitizer water, nice and tight in there. We're just gonna go ahead and push this aside. Next, we're gonna go ahead and wait 1 day. What day is it?
Bro, you just racked this today.
Oh. Ooh, cookie. Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed! All right, it is day 15. All right, so basically we are just adding the chitose. Right now we have no activity in the airlock. As you can see, there hasn't been activity since maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes after putting it in. The sulfite and the sorbate did a really good job at stopping yeast activity, production. You'll see down here, right here, there's a whole layer of lees, which is basically sediment, but that's mostly probably dead yeast, because when I racked it yesterday, I left a lot of what was in the original container at the bottom, the leaves from that one. So once I add the chitose, you're actually going to see more clarity. It's going to look like an actual wine at that point. Right now, it is, I mean, it's nice looking, it's just not really clear. When we're done, you'll probably be able to see almost right through it. Maybe clearly right through it, but there's going to be that shade, so we'll see. Let's get started.
I just need you to be quiet during this part, okay?
Okay, so it's all mixed in there. Just gonna take my wand out, being careful not to spill any or make a mess. Now, you can put your bung back in and then your airlock on it. Right now, there's no carbonation. The yeast is completely dead. So there's not going to be any issue with that. I guess you could put a bung that doesn't have a hole in there if you have one. And if you do, that's fine. I'm just going to reuse this one. Okay, we're just going to push this over. Now, as you can see, it's actually more opaque now because I stirred the lees at the bottom. But almost like magic, what's going to happen is the chitose I added today combined with the kysosol that was added yesterday, it's going to take all that sediment and drag it down to the very bottom. You're going to see even more, and in like 24 hours this is going to get like 95% clear. I'll go ahead and come back tomorrow just as a real quick way of showing you what's happened to it. I guess until then. All right, so it's been about 24 hours. It's gotten pretty clear, but there is one thing I'd like to do. You know what? I think I'll get some help here. Let me conjure in someone. Let's see, how did I do this last time? Yeah, okay. All right, here we go.
Should I like step back?
Oh, you're fine there. All right. So Bryson is gonna give it a little twist. One more time. All right, perfect. What that does is it loosens up. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a whole bunch of sediment that is stuck to the side
I can certainly see it.
that will now actually fall down instead of just stay there. And you can see how clear it is now. You can see right through it. It's still opaque, but it's perfect. Let's push that back over. Yeah, so well, this isn't gonna do.
My gosh. Dude, I've been waiting 3 weeks.
Whoops.
3 weeks.
Wait, does that mean it's bottling day?
It is indeed bottling day.
Woo!
But
Awesome.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I have to do my own fitness stuff. Got to get back to some stuff. Some errands I've got to run. So I won't be helping you for bottling day.
Oh.
But,
Okay. I guess I'll send you back.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sorry about that. Ah. 2 for the price of 1. Okay, so I'm finally home and it is time to bottle. It's a little lengthy. You can bottle straight out of your glass carboy, or what you can do is what I do: transfer it to a bottling bucket like this one. This is a 6-gallon bucket. Unfortunately, it only shows it goes up to 5, but it's a 6-gallon bucket. So I'm just going to make sure, well, I've already made sure that everything is sanitized, and it's, I don't know if you can see them over here. I have all the bottles I need, nice and clean, sanitized, ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my auto siphon, and we're going to go ahead and transfer the liquid, carefully transfer the liquid out of here. And as you can see, it is super clear. This is exactly what you want to see. If it's not, the instructions say, even if it's been the 3 or 4 weeks or whatever it is on the instructions, keep waiting. Never filter your wine or try to do anything like that. That's a great way to add oxygen and eventually turn it into vinegar, which you could just buy vinegar super cheap. Why make it? So let's go ahead and get that auto siphon and we'll start. Now what you'll want to avoid doing is going all the way to the bottom where the sediment is and putting the bottom of the auto siphon in that or even close to it until it's absolutely necessary. Truth be told, you may actually end up wasting just a teeny bit of your precious wine here, just so you don't pick any of that sediment up through your auto siphon. What you do want to do, however, is continually move it down. I have it in the middle right now to start because I know it's completely clear up here. Only the sediment is down here. So when I get close, I'm going to start gently tilting it back, making sure that none of that sediment ends up in my auto siphon. So this is what is left of the wine. That little thin layer, that's garbage. That is not usable. We can't do anything with that. I have all the wine bottles set up with a bottling bucket and spigot all hooked up to it. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm just going to go ahead and turn the spigot so that the wine starts flowing. And we're just going to go ahead and fill this bad boy up. And of course, I'm going to do this with all the bottles that I can. I have extra just in case. Now, as you can see there, it is full, but when I take the bottling wand out, it leaves the perfect space for the cork to go in there. Okay, so it looks like we bottled about 27 or 28 of these. That is the color of them right there, or color of the wine. So it's a beautiful clear color. I have a star sand solution in a bowl. Basically, we're just going to go ahead and pour our corks in there. We also have our shrink tops for later. Those are always helpful to distinguish what you have if it's just sticking out of a wine rack or a box. And of course, our corker, which will install the corks in the bottle. So we're going to go ahead and put the corks in there. Just let them get nice and wet, and then we'll go to the next process. So we're going to go ahead and take the cork and just insert it right in there. I'm going to take that, place it over the top, and of course I don't have enough hands to show you, but I would take both hands and turn these down so that it would actually kind of plunge the cork right into the bottle. Okay, all the bottles have corks in them. If you can't get yours down all the way like this first one, that is the exact reason why I would recommend using your star sand solution for them to just soak in for a minute. It sanitizes the cork and makes it so it'll just slide right in easy. And then you won't have any issues. That first one in the demonstration dried out a little bit, so I wasn't able to get it all the way in. The rest look good. Once the caps go on them, we'll go from there, but that covers up any of the little indents. Not that that's anything to worry about, but just for looks. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to take the bottle with the shrink top on it and dip it right here in the hot water. I'm just doing a small sample to show you. I'm actually going to do it on the stove with a pot with boiling water. That way I can just do them without having to reheat a cup every time. Of course, it just came out of the water. It is nice and tight on the bottle, so it looks nice and professional. I'm going to do all of these now, and then the next step we'll make sure they're dried off and we'll put labels on them. And lastly, our bottle is filled, our shrink wrap top is on, we want to put a label right on there so that it is perfectly straight. And that way, when we're done, they'll all look that amazing. Okay, so here we have the finished product. The bottles are labeled and everything looks amazing. Wine is nice and clear. I'm gonna go ahead and try a sip. It's very sweet, obviously to be expected from a nice wine. It's got a good alcohol content, but that is also to be expected from a dessert wine. So all in all, it's amazing.